The most expensive silence of my life lasted exactly 19 minutes and 32 seconds. Before I hung up the phone, I overheard my fiancée laughing with her friends. The idiot didn't know I was still on the line, and she certainly didn't know I was listening to her brag about screwing my friend. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I stayed quiet and I started planning. 3 days later, she showed up at my parents' house screaming, but by then, I had already dismantled her entire life without raising my voice once. My buddy Kevin said I needed to share this because my life apparently reads like a revenge movie script. So buckle up. My name is Jake. I am 31 years old and I work as a diesel mechanic at a trucking company in Tennessee. I have been turning wrenches since I was 16, back when my old man taught me how to rebuild a carburetor in our garage. There is nothing fancy about my life. I have a 2-bedroom house that I bought foreclosed and fixed up myself, a paid-off Ford F-150, and until recently, a fiancée named Brittany who I thought was the love of my life. I bought my house 3 years ago when it was a complete disaster. The roof was leaking, the foundation was cracked, and the electrical wiring should have burned the place down decades ago. The inspector was surprised it was still standing, but I saw the bones of the place. I saw solid construction from the 60s and mature trees in the backyard. I spent every weekend for 18 months ripping out drywall, rewiring outlets, and learning plumbing. My dad came over most Saturdays to help, and we turned that wreck into something I am actually proud of. It has 3 bedrooms, an updated kitchen with granite counters I installed myself, and a new deck out back. It was the kind of place you could raise a family in. I am not a rich executive. I am just a regular dude who works hard. The guys at the shop call me the Whisperer because I can diagnose a failing injector just by listening to the idle. I take pride in that. I take pride in being reliable. That is why I thought Brittany and I worked. We met 2.5 years ago at a cookout. She was a gorgeous brunette with green eyes and a laugh that could light up a room. We hit it off immediately because she said she loved that I was real. She told me she was tired of guys trying to impress her with money or status. We sat on lawn chairs for 3 hours that first night, talking about everything from childhood dreams to where we saw ourselves in 10 years. The early days were incredible. She would come watch me work on the house, ask questions, and even helped me paint the spare bedroom. She made me feel like a superhero just for knowing how to replace a garbage disposal. I taught her how to use a power drill and she seemed genuinely interested. Her family welcomed me in fast. Her mom, Linda, treated me like a son, sending me home with leftovers and checking on me constantly. Her dad, Robert, was a retired electrician, and we bonded over trade stories. I spent weekends in his garage helping him restore a classic Mustang. By month 20, I was picking out engagement rings. I worked for months of overtime to buy a princess cut diamond that cost me nearly $8,000. I had a whole proposal planned for our 2-year anniversary at her favorite Italian restaurant, Santino's. I had rented the private back room and arranged for her entire family to be hiding in the kitchen to surprise her. Looking back, the signs were there. Around month 18, Brittany reconnected with an old friend from high school named Corey. He had just gone through a divorce, and she said he needed support. I felt bad for the guy. I even invited him to our barbecues and helped him move into his apartment. I trusted Brittany completely because she was a compassionate person. But then the phone habits changed. She started angling her screen away from me. She started having more girls' nights. The physical distance crept in. I told myself it was just a phase, that relationships have ups and downs. The wake-up call came on a Tuesday. I called Brittany on my lunch break to ask about dinner. She answered. We had a quick normal chat, and she said she had to run into a meeting. We said our I love yous, but she didn't hang up. I heard rustling, like the phone was shoved into a pocket. I was about to end the call when I heard her voice, muffled but clear. She was complaining about me. She called me exhausting. She compared me to a golden retriever that follows her around constantly. Then I heard another voice I recognized as her friend Megan, laughing along. My stomach dropped, but I kept listening. Then came the sentence that changed my life. Brittany said the idiot doesn't even know I am screwing Corey. She admitted she had been sleeping with him for 3 months. She laughed about how easy it was to lie to me because I was so trusting. She even mocked my upcoming proposal, saying she would say yes just to secure the ring as a fallback option while she decided if Corey was ready to commit. I stood there in the shop parking lot, grease dripping down my arm, while my world collapsed. 19 minutes and 32 seconds of pure betrayal. I hung up quietly. I sat on a crate and stared at the concrete for 20 minutes. In that moment, I had to decide who I was going to be. Was I the guy who storms home and screams, or was I the guy who handles business? My dad always taught me that anger makes you stupid, and stupid gets you hurt. So I drove to my buddy Kevin's house instead. Kevin is an insurance claims adjuster, a professional skeptic. We spent 3 hours mapping out a strategy I called Operation Clean Exit. The next morning, I called in sick to work. Step 1 was the car. I had co-signed Brittany's lease. I went to the dealership and prepared the paperwork to transfer the liability entirely to her. Step 2 was the money. I went to the bank, withdrew exactly half of our joint account, and opened a new account at a different bank. Step 3 was documentation. I wrote down everything from the call and backed up the call logs. Step 4 was the hardest. I called her parents. I met Robert and Linda at a diner. They looked worried, thinking I had a medical emergency. When I told them the truth, playing them a recording I made of myself recounting the conversation, they were devastated. Linda cried quietly. Robert looked like he had been punched. I told them I was kicking her out on Sunday, the day I was supposed to propose. I told them I was returning the ring. To my surprise, Robert and Linda asked to be there when I confronted her. They wanted to see if she could look them in the eye while she lied. For 3 days, I lived with a stranger. I ate dinner with her, watched TV with her, and let her believe everything was normal. Inside, I was ice. On Sunday, she spent 2 hours getting ready for our anniversary dinner, fishing for compliments. I sat her down on the couch and dropped the bomb. I told her I knew about Corey. I told her I knew about the 3 months of lies. I quoted her conversation with Megan back to her. She turned pale and started the waterworks, trying to deny it, trying to blame me for working too much. Then the doorbell rang. I opened it to reveal her parents. The blood drained from Brittany's face. Her mother's voice was cold as steel as she told Brittany they knew everything. Robert told her he had never been more disappointed in anyone. He told her she was packing her things and leaving immediately, and that she wasn't moving back in with them. Her support system evaporated in seconds. I handed her the car paperwork and told her to sign it or I would report the vehicle stolen. She signed. It took an hour to pack her life into boxes. When she left, I felt nothing but relief. I changed the locks the next morning. I returned the ring and put that $8,000 back in my savings. The fallout in our small town was swift. Everyone found out. Corey's coworkers turned on him, and he quit his job and moved back to Georgia 3 weeks later. Brittany bounced between friends' couches before ending up in a studio apartment on the rough side of town. 3 days after I kicked her out, she showed up at my parents' house during Sunday dinner. She looked wrecked. She begged to talk to me, but I didn't even get up from the table. I just called out that she had made her choices. That is when the screaming started. She shrieked that I had ruined her life, that I had turned her family against her. My mom, the calmest woman I know, walked to the door and told her to leave or she was calling the police. Brittany drove away, and we went back to eating pork chops like nothing had happened. 6 months later, I met Rachel at a barbecue. She is a veterinary technician, kind, honest, and loves my dog Diesel. We have been together for a while now, and my parents adore her. I ran into Brittany at the grocery store recently. She looked tired. She tried to ask if I was happy, tried to apologize, tried to ask if my new relationship was serious. I just looked at her and said she doesn't get to ask me that anymore. I walked away and didn't look back. I built my house with my own hands, and I rebuilt my life the same way. Solid foundation, no cracks, and definitely no room for liars.